This is an audio summary of The Lord of the Rings by JRR Tolkien, chapter by chapter. Please check the description for chapter selection. This audio summary is brought to you by Swagbucks. Earn $10 towards any gift card when you sign up with the QR code or link in the description below. Use Swagbucks to earn Swagbucks to get more gift cards for you, your friends, and your family. In fact, you can earn Swagbucks while you listen to this audio summary. Be sure to check it out. Also check the description for a link to Amazon to buy the full book. Volume 1. The Fellowship of the Ring Book. Chapter 1. A long-expected party. In the quaint land of the Shire, beloved hobbit Bilbo Baggins is planning a spectacular party for his 111th birthday and the 33rd birthday of his cousin Frodo. All the residents are looking forward to this grand affair. As the party reaches its climax, Bilbo gives a speech and suddenly disappears, much to the astonishment of his guests, using a magical ring that makes him invisible. He leaves behind his home, Bag End, and all his possessions, including the ring, to Frodo. Chapter 2. The Shadow of the Past. Some years later, Gandalf the Grey, a wizard and a dear friend of Bilbo, visits Frodo. He reveals the frightening truth of Bilbo's ring. It is the One Ring, forged by the Dark Lord Sauron, who seeks to reclaim it to regain his full power and dominate all of Middle-earth. Gandalf tells Frodo that Sauron's servants, the Ringwraiths, are already searching for the ring and the hobbit who possesses it. To protect the Shire and the entire world, Frodo must leave his peaceful home and begin a dangerous journey to destroy the ring. Chapter 3. 3 is company. Frodo, accompanied by his loyal gardener Sam and his adventurous friend Pippin, sets out on his perilous mission. They travel through the quiet, unspoiled lands of the Shire, but their tranquility is shattered by encounters with the Black Riders, fearsome, shadowy figures on horseback who are searching relentlessly for Frodo and the ring. Chapter 4. A Shortcut to Mushrooms. To evade the Black Riders, the hobbits take a shortcut through a dense forest. As they emerge, they reach the farm of Farmer Maggot, a hobbit known for his large, protective dogs. Despite their initial fear of the farmer, they receive a warm welcome, and he provides them with a cart ride to the edge of his farm, close to Buckleberry Ferry, which they use to cross the Brandywine River. Chapter 5. A Conspiracy Unmasked. Frodo, Sam, and Pippin arrive at a house in Buckland, where they meet their friend Merry. Frodo discovers that his friends Merry, Pippin, and even Sam already knew about the ring and his quest, thanks to the intervention of Gandalf. They are resolute in their commitment to help Frodo in his mission, regardless of the dangers they might face. Chapter 6. The Old Forest. The hobbits venture into the Old Forest, a strange and ancient woodland that seems to have a mind of its own. They become trapped by Old Man Willow, a malevolent tree, but are rescued by the mysterious and merry Tom Bombadil, who has power over the forest. Chapter 7. In the House of Tom Bombadil. The hobbits find refuge in the house of Tom Bombadil and his wife Goldberry. Here they learn that Tom is seemingly immune to the ring's power. When he puts it on, he doesn't disappear. And when Frodo wears the ring, Tom can still see him. They spend a few days in the safety and comfort of Tom's house, recovering from their ordeals. Chapter 8. Fog on the Barrow Downs. As the hobbits leave Tom's house and journey through the Barrow Downs, they are captured by a Barrow Wight, a reanimated dead body controlled by an evil spirit. They awaken in a dark burial mound, but are saved once again by Tom, who rescues them and provides them with ancient swords from the Barrow's treasure. Chapter 9. At the Sign of the Prancing Pony, the hobbits arrive in Bree, a village inhabited by both men and hobbits. Here they seek shelter in the Prancing Pony Inn, where Frodo accidentally draws attention to himself by slipping on the ring and disappearing in front of the inn's patrons. They also meet a mysterious man known as Strider. Chapter 10. Strider. Strider reveals that he is a friend of Gandalf and warns the hobbits that they are being pursued by the Black Riders. He agrees to help guide them to Rivendell, where they will be safe. He also reveals his true identity as Aragorn, the rightful heir to the throne of Gondor. Chapter 11. A Knife in the Dark. The Black Riders launch a night assault on the hobbits' room at the inn, but find it empty. Meanwhile, the hobbits, under the protection of Aragorn, camp on the ancient hill of Weathertop, where they are attacked by the Black Riders. During the attack, Frodo is gravely wounded by a Morgul blade, a cursed weapon of the ring wraiths. Chapter 12, Flight to the Ford. With Frodo's condition deteriorating due to the Morgul wound, Aragorn and the hobbits hasten towards Rivendell, hoping to find aid from Elrond, the wise elf lord. Chased by the Black Riders, Frodo barely makes it across the ford of Brunnen, where the pursuers are swept away by a sudden flood controlled by Elrond and the wizard Gandalf. Book 2. Chapter 1. Many Meetings. Frodo awakens in Rivendell, having been healed by Elrond. He is reunited with his friends and meets other members of the diverse community in Rivendell, including the elf prince Legolas, the dwarf Gimli, and Boromir, a man from Gondor. He also learns that Bilbo has been living safely in Rivendell since he left the Shire. Chapter 2. The Council of Elrond. Elrond convenes a council of representatives from the races of Middle-earth, elves, dwarves, men, and hobbits, to decide what to do with the ring. They learn of the extent of Sauron's power and the threat he poses to all free peoples. After much debate, it is decided that the ring must be destroyed in the fires of Mount Doom in Mordor, where it was forged. Frodo reluctantly volunteers to be the ring-bearer. Chapter 3. The Ring Goes South. A fellowship is formed to accompany Frodo on his mission. It consists of Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, Gandalf, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and Boromir. They leave Rivendell and travel southward. However, they are forced to change their path due to heavy snowfall caused by the hostile mountain Caradhras. Chapter 4. A Journey in the Dark. After the unsuccessful attempt to cross Caradhras, the Fellowship decides to take a dangerous path through the mines of Moria, an ancient and dark underground city of the dwarves now overrun by goblins. They are pursued by these creatures and encounter a monstrous being, a Balrog of Morgoth. Chapter 5. The Bridge of Khazad-dûm. As the Fellowship tries to escape Moria, they confront the Balrog on a narrow bridge. Gandalf challenges the demon, enabling the others to escape, but falls into the abyss with the creature, seemingly lost to the Fellowship. His sacrifice allows the others to escape from Moria, albeit with heavy hearts. Chapter 6. Lothlorien. The remaining members of the Fellowship find refuge in Lothlorien, a beautiful elven realm. They are welcomed by the Elf Lord Celeborn and the Elf Lady Galadriel, who provide them with advice, rest, and gifts to aid their quest. Chapter 7. The Mirror of Galadriel. Galadriel shows Frodo and Sam the Mirror of Galadriel, a basin of water that can show past, present, and possible future events. Frodo offers Galadriel the ring, but she refuses, demonstrating her resistance to the ring's corrupting power. Chapter 8. Farewell to Lorien. After a time of rest and recovery, the Fellowship leaves Lorien gifted with elven cloaks and boats, and Galadriel's special gift to Frodo, a phial containing the light of Arundil's star. They set off down the great river Anduin, closer to the dark land of Mordor. Chapter 9. The Great River. The Fellowship travels down the Anduin with the walls of Mordor looming closer each day. They face perilous challenges, including an attack by a pack of orcs and a sighting of Gollum, a creature corrupted by the ring, who has been following them. Chapter 10. The Breaking of the Fellowship. When they reach the rapids of Sarn-Gabir, the Fellowship must decide whether to travel through the mines of Moria or over the pass of Caradhras. Before they can decide, they are attacked by Uruk-hai, Saruman's superior breed of orcs. In the ensuing chaos, Frodo decides to go on alone to Mordor, but Sam insists on joining him. Meanwhile, Merry and Pippin are captured by the Uruk-hai, and Boromir falls while defending them. Thus, the Fellowship is broken. Book 3, Chapter 1, The Departure of Boromir. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli find Boromir fatally wounded by Saruman's Uruk-hai. Before he dies, Boromir confesses his attempt to take the ring from Frodo and expresses regret. The trio, not knowing Frodo and Sam have departed for Mordor, decides to rescue Merry and Pippin. Chapter 2. The Riders of Rohan. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli pursue the Uruk-hai across the plains of Rohan. They encounter the Riders of Rohan, led by Éomer, who tells them that the Uruks were destroyed and no hobbits were found. Chapter 3. The Uruk-hai. Pippin and Merry, captives of the Uruk-hai, manage to escape during the battle between the Uruks and the Riders of Rohan. They flee into the nearby Fangorn Forest. Chapter 4. Treebeard. In the Fangorn Forest, Merry and Pippin meet Treebeard, the oldest of the Ents. Ents are ancient tree-like beings who are the shepherds of the forest. Treebeard agrees to help the hobbits. Chapter 5. The White Rider. Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli meet the resurrected Gandalf, now Gandalf the White, in Fangorn Forest. He shares news of the wider world and directs the trio towards Rohan's capital, Edoras. Chapter 6. The King of the Golden Hall. At Edoras, Gandalf heals King Theoden of Rohan from Saruman's mental influence. Theoden decides to make a stand against Saruman and begins preparations for battle. Chapter 7. Helm's Deep. The people of Rohan retreat to the fortress of Helm's Deep, pursued by Saruman's army. A massive battle ensues, known as the Battle of Helm's Deep. Chapter 8. The Road to Isengard. After their victory at Helm's Deep, thanks to the unexpected assistance of the Horns, tree-like beings from Fangorn Forest, Gandalf, Theoden, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli ride to Isengard. Chapter 9. Flotsam and Jetsam. At Isengard, they reunite with Merry and Pippin. The hobbits recount their adventures with the Ents and their march on Isengard, which resulted in the flooding and disabling of Saruman's fortress. Chapter 10. The Voice of Saruman. Gandalf confronts Saruman at the Tower of Orthanc. He rejects Saruman's deceitful offers of alliance and breaks his staff, expelling him from the Order of Wizards. Chapter 11. The Palantir. Pippin, driven by curiosity, looks into a Palantir, a seeing stone, and has a mental struggle with Sauron. To protect the Hobbit and keep Sauron in the dark, Gandalf takes Pippin with him to Minas Tirith, the capital of Gondor. Book 4, Chapter 1. The Taming of Smeagol. Frodo and Sam, traveling towards Mordor, capture Gollum. Frodo persuades Gollum to guide them to Mount Doom. Chapter 2. The Passage of the Marshes. Gollum leads the hobbits through the treacherous Dead Marshes. Despite the difficulties and Gollum's increasing inner struggle between his Gollum and Smeagol personalities, they manage to reach the Black Gate of Mordor. Chapter 3. The Black Gate is closed. Finding the Black Gate heavily guarded, they realize they cannot enter Mordor from here. Gollum offers to lead them through a less guarded yet still perilous alternative route into Mordor. Chapter 4. Of Herbs and Stewed Rabbit. As they traverse the barren land, Sam cooks a rabbit, raising smoke that is spotted by men from Harad, allies of Sauron. Gollum returns, panicked, just as they're attacked by a Nazgul riding a winged beast. Chapter 5. The Window on the West. The hobbits are captured by Faramir, brother of Boromir, and his rangers. Faramir, unlike his brother, resists the temptation of the ring and aids them in their journey. Chapter 6. The Forbidden Pool. Gollum is captured by Faramir's men while he is fishing in the Forbidden Pool. Frodo, with no other choice, betrays Gollum to save him from being killed, which erodes Gollum's trust in him. Chapter 7. Journey to the Crossroads. Faramir releases Frodo, Sam, and Gollum. They continue their journey towards the alternative route into Mordor, the Pass of Cirith Ungol. Along the way, they find a statue of a king defaced by Sauron's forces, but crowned with a garland of fresh flowers, a sign that not all hope is lost. Chapter 8. The Stairs of Cirith Ungol. They climb the treacherous stairs of Cirith Ungol. Gollum disappears for a while, further increasing the hobbit's suspicion about his loyalty. Chapter 9. Shelob's Lair. Gollum leads Frodo and Sam into the lair of Shelob, a monstrous spider, hoping she will kill the hobbits so he can retrieve the ring from their remains. Frodo and Sam manage to escape, but Frodo is stung by Shelob and falls unconscious. Chapter 10. The Choices of Master Samwise. Believing Frodo to be dead, Sam takes the ring to continue the mission. However, when he hears the orcs mention that Frodo is only unconscious, he resolves to rescue his friend. Volume 3. The Return of the King Book. Chapter 1. Minas Tirith. Pippin and Gandalf arrive in Minas Tirith, the capital of Gondor. The city is preparing for an imminent attack from Sauron's forces, and Gandalf helps in the preparations. Pippin, feeling indebted to Boromir who died saving him and Merry, pledges his service to Boromir's father Denethor, the steward of Gondor. Chapter 2. The Passing of the Grey Company. Meanwhile, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli travel through the Paths of the Dead, a haunted mountain pass with a company of rangers from the north. Aragorn, being the rightful heir of Isildur, summons the dead men of Dunharrow, who owe allegiance to the heir of Isildur, to help him in the upcoming war. Chapter 3. The Muster of Rohan. Theoden gathers the riders of Rohan to aid Gondor in the upcoming war against Sauron's forces, fulfilling the obligations of their ancient alliance. Eowyn, Theoden's niece, is left behind, much to her disappointment as she yearns to fight in battle. Chapter 4. The Siege of Gondor. The forces of Mordor lay siege to Minas Tirith. Denethor, having looked into a palantir and manipulated by Sauron into despair, falls into madness and grief when he wrongly believes that his son Faramir is dead. Chapter 5. The Ride of the Rohirrim. The riders of Rohan arrive just in time on the battlefield at the Pelennor Fields. Their charge into the enemy ranks brings a new hope to the besieged city. Chapter 6. The Battle of the Pelennor Fields. In this critical battle, King Theoden is mortally wounded, but Eowyn, who secretly rode into battle disguised as a man, and Merry, who had also joined the battle, slay the Witch King, leader of the Nazgul. Meanwhile, Aragorn arrives with reinforcements, and the tide of battle turns in favor of the defenders of Gondor. Chapter 7. The Pyre of Denethor. Denethor, in despair, tries to burn himself and Faramir on a funeral pyre. Gandalf and Pippin save Faramir, but Denethor dies in the flames, clutching the palantir that showed him manipulated images of an invincible enemy force. Chapter 8. The Houses of Healing. Eowyn and Merry, both injured by the Witch King, and Faramir, suffering from a near-fatal wound inflicted during the battle, are healed by Aragorn in the Houses of Healing in Minas Tirith, with the aid of the plant Athelas, revealing to all his potential as the future king. Chapter 9. The Last Debate. The leaders of the free peoples of Middle-earth meet to discuss their next move. Knowing that Sauron will expect an attack on Mordor, they decide to march towards the Black Gate, drawing the enemy's attention away from Frodo and Sam. Chapter 10. The Black Gate opens. The allied forces of Gondor and Rohan, among others, march towards the Black Gate of Mordor to engage Sauron's forces. During the ensuing battle, the ring is destroyed and Sauron is defeated. Book the 6th. Chapter 1. The Tower of Cirith. Ungol. Sam rescues Frodo from the Tower of Cirith Ungol, where he was taken by the orcs who found him unconscious. They take orc armor for disguise and start their final journey towards Mount Doom. Chapter 2. The Land of Shadow. Making their way through Mordor, Frodo and Sam experience the harsh conditions of the desolate land. They witness a battle between different factions of orcs, which allows them to continue their journey undisturbed. Chapter 3. Mount Doom. They reach Mount Doom. But within sight of their goal, Frodo is unable to resist the ring's power and claims it for himself. Gollum, in a desperate attempt to reclaim his precious, bites off Frodo's finger with the ring and falls into the fiery chasm, thus accidentally completing the quest and destroying the ring. Chapter 4. The Field of Cormallen. Frodo and Sam are rescued by Gandalf and the Great Eagles from the volcanic eruption of Mount Doom. They are taken to the Field of Cormallen, where they wake up to a world freed from Sauron's darkness and are hailed as heroes. Chapter 5. The Steward and the King. Aragorn is crowned King of Gondor. He renews the ancient friendship between Gondor and Rohan and marries Arwen, Elrond's daughter. Chapter 6. Many Partings. The hobbits start their journey back to the Shire, accompanied for some distance by their friends. They say their goodbyes at various points along the way, leading to many heartfelt partings. Chapter 7. Homeward Bound. The hobbits, accompanied by Gandalf, reach Bree, and find much change due to troubles and ruffians. They also find out that the Shire has not been left unscathed in their absence. Chapter 8. The Scouring of the Shire. The hobbits return to find the Shire drastically changed and under the control of ruffians led by Sharky, who turns out to be Saruman. The hobbits, changed by their experiences and adventures, lead a rebellion and manage to liberate the Shire. Chapter 9. The Grey Havens. Frodo, still suffering from the wounds inflicted by the Ringwraith and Shelob, as well as the spiritual and emotional burden of his quest, departs Middle-earth for the Undying Lands with Gandalf, Bilbo, and many of the remaining elves. Sam, Merry, and Pippin are left to live out their days in the Shire. The overarching narrative of The Lord of the Rings tells the story of an epic struggle between good and evil, where ordinary individuals like Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin play pivotal roles. Despite their initially insignificant and humble statuses, these characters demonstrate enormous courage and resilience, and their actions ultimately have a profound impact on the fate of Middle-earth. At its core, the story is about the indomitable spirit of resistance against overwhelming odds and the belief that even the smallest person can change the course of the future. It also presents timeless themes of friendship, loyalty, sacrifice, and the corrupting influence of power. The cultural importance of The Lord of the Rings is immense. JRR Tolkien's epic has had a significant influence on modern literature, particularly within the fantasy genre. Its themes have been examined and interpreted through various critical lenses, including allegorical, historical, and mythological perspectives. Beyond literature, The Lord of the Rings has influenced other forms of media, including film, television, and video games. Its themes of resistance against tyranny, the importance of friendship and solidarity, and the belief in the power of individuals to effect change resonate in contemporary socio-political contexts. Moreover, the linguistic, cultural, and mythological intricacies of Tolkien's world-building have laid the groundwork for many subsequent works in fantasy literature and have set a high standard for immersive secondary worlds. As such, the influence and importance of The Lord of the Rings continue to be felt across diverse aspects of society and culture.